of Tomorrow Season 10. I'm Sananda Jayaseelan, and on the show today, we're talking about the big events and the big trends that have impacted different industries. In the hot seat tonight, the first industry and the first company that I'm in conversation with is Atomberg, talking to us about all the changes and the trends that we're calling out for the consumer electronic space. Also, SRL Diagnostics in conversation with us today on the top trends for the diagnostics space. Sibabrata, good having you here on the show. Where did the idea for energy efficient appliances really come about from? And were you always drawn to this space? Perhaps just, set the context, give our viewers an idea of what your entrepreneurial journey has been like.
Yeah. Thank you, Sunita, for having me here. It's a pleasure. Before energy efficiency, we were doing about, how do we scale up our business, and we're doing our market study, etc. And one fact that was really surprising to us is that in India, we have seen many innovation has happened across categories, whether it is mobile phone, large appliances, air conditioner, washing machine, etc. But none of us have seen any innovation in the small appliance categories. We are using the same fans, the same mixer grinder, for many decades. And that led us to thinking that why it is so, right? And that's how we figured out that that's a very strong value proposition that probably we can add to the consumer's life in the small appliance category particularly. That's how we got into the small appliance as a category. And when we started figuring out that what value we can add, energy efficiency was one of the major prominent feature. And of course, energy is very core to us, and we have a lot of expertise on motor, clean tech, etc. So that is very core to us, and that's how we figured out that let's probably there is a very strong market and strong demand for smart and energy efficient appliances, and that's how we got into small appliances, starting with fans and then slowly gradually expanding into other categories like mixer grinder, etc.
Could you talk about the range of products that you have, and pricing as a strategy for you? Because India is such a price sensitive market, and products like yours, at least the perception is that you're priced much higher than perhaps what is available in the market. Could you run us through your strategy on that?
India is not all about price sensitive market, but it's more about value conscious market. Now, what does that mean? For example, today you can go probably to market and buy a 2000 rupees fan, which is absolutely very simple looking, no paint, no finish, just a very plain vanilla fan. And you have an option by paying just additional maybe 700-800 rupees. You can buy an energy efficient fan which can probably save 2000 rupees a year per fan, depending on the consumption uses. It's also smart, comes with remote and probably app, etc. Then the value proposition goes up significantly for the incremental amount you are paying. So, for India to success, what you've realized from the pricing point of view, that is very, very critical to price the product in such a manner that people see the true value to it. Now, if you would have, probably priced it 5,000 rupees, maybe the value was not that much. So, pricing is very important, but it's not about saying that, whether people will absolutely, they'll only buy price or lower price products. If there is enough value, people will definitely buy it, and that has been the learning for us since beginning. Having said that, one of our core R&D focus has always been to figure out how do we reduce cost and make it more affordable so that a lot of people can buy. So for example, when we started in 2015-2016, the cost of product was probably 25% higher than what we are today. And over the last 3.5 years, we have spent a lot of R&D effort to ensure that without compromising on quality or functionality, how do we reduce cost? And that is a very a strong innovation pipe lever that we use as a company.
I understand your team had created a working prototype for energy efficient businesses, but from that to going into becoming, a manufactured product, that is, and I'm sure that involves a lot of work. Just run us through what that process was like.
Oh, I think the journey was probably a nightmare, if I try to look at hindsight. But when we started, right, so we didn't even realize the complexities around manufacturing, supply chain, working capital management, vendor credit, distributor credit. How do you go into consumer? And none of us has the consumer background, right? Consumer market background. So it was a difficult journey for us. And I still remember, we raised probably close to 1 crore in 2016. And then all of a sudden we realized that all our cost assumptions around developing the product in terms of mold, assembly line, probably was deviating more than 50%. And we ended up spending 90% of that just in developing the product. Now, when we developed the product, we thought that we'll just quickly sell and probably get enough money to again further grow. But the moment we started selling, we realized that the partners are expecting 45 days credit, 50 days credit, and those were the very difficult time for us. In fact, it took us a lot of time to also raise capital. 2015, 2016, it was all about e-commerce and those goals. And for any investor to believe that we can really build a large business where there are so many incumbents with large balance sheets of presence, were very difficult for us to convince. And in fact, it took us almost 2 years to close our Series A round. Right. So the journey of setting up the businesses, whether it is in terms of manufacturing, supply chain, distribution, everything was very difficult. But it's all about chicken egg problems, and we have to take many tactical calls time by time. For example, the first lot, when we were actually running out of money, we didn't have any money to pay for the salary, etc. We actually went to the distributor, gave them a lot of discount, and backed them to pay us upfront so that we can go ahead and pay our salary. When we went to our first sort of vendor, they were not even entertaining us because our volume was absolutely minuscule as compared to some of the large companies, right? So how do you convince vendors? So it took us a lot of negotiation, persistently like pursuing them and try to just talk to them and figure out how to solve it. But once you are determined to really and to solve the problem for the larger consumer, then things started getting solved. And yeah, I think it's not an easy journey, but everything started happening, started falling in place one after another. And now I think we're at a much larger scale. So now those things are not a big challenge for us.
I understand you've moved from being B2B to B2C. What is that model and what has that journey been like? And just talk to us about why perhaps you did that, what that journey has been, what that experience has been, and just omni-channel as a strategy for you.
So I think this is not about B2B or B2C. I think it's a function of the growth ambitions you have and how the market behaves. So when we initially launched the product, we realized that the product was probably not a right fit product for the consumer segments. There were aesthetics issue, the product, the smartness, etc., were not in place in terms of feature. It was a plain vanilla energy efficient fan, and the largest consumer who will, or the buyer who will actually see the value is someone who has a lot of fans installed at their premises, which essentially is a B2B client, like large institutes like hospitals, schools, colleges with thousands of fans, and for them the saving is in lakh of rupees. So it was a no-brainer for us to go ahead and target B2B as our first segment. But when we did that for initial 1 year, we quickly realized that 90% of the consumer durable appliances, whether it is fans or any other categories, in general is a consumer segment. So if you really want to become big, you'll have to come into consumer. So that was the reason that why we quickly decided to move away from only focusing into B2B large institutes and moving to consumers as a segment. And then we realized that when we entered in consumer, in fact, MIF has helped us a lot on this. I'll probably cover this later. But now in consumer, the challenges are many because unlike B2B, you do not get a lot of time to speak with your consumer directly or channel partner, distributors, etc. And they don't have enough patience to try out new brands or new products. So you have to be absolutely sure about your product, about supply chain, etc. before you actually go into expanding offline or online distribution. So what we did is that as a part of the strategy, we first focused on online, which was Amazon, Flipkart, etc. And that time the market was very small for fan. I mean, it was hardly 1.5% of the overall fan market back then. But it was sufficient enough from our business ambitions perspective for that particular year. So we started with online. We only focused in online for 1 year. we spoke to a lot of consumers. We understood their pain points. We realized that there are some improvements to be done in the product. We made those improvements. We started spending some on the brand awareness, etc. And then we entered offline maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, in somewhere in 2019, 2018. And when we entered offline, we also realized that there are a lot of a very interesting insight I will share with you is that in today if you look at and there is enough report around this from BCG, Bain, etc. That almost 40-45% of sales are influenced digitally. But if you look at the overall fan market or consumer durable appliances market, that varies from 7 to 10% depending on category to category. So that means remaining 30% of the people who are actually influenced digitally are buying products offline, and that is the importance of omnichannel presence.
I'm going to slip into a short break. When we come back, in the hot seat is SRL Diagnostics.